Hey again, I'm going to do another reaction today to some geography. Yes, some learning, some knowledge. I'm going to try and get some knowledge in my old head. We're doing the country of Chile. Now, we've done Argentina, we've done Brazil, we've done Bolivia. We're going to go through the rest of South America before I move on to other parts of the world. So I know a little bit of Chile from the fact of what I've learned about the other countries. I know that it borders on Argentina. It's had wars with Argentina before over land. The natural border is the Andes mountain that goes all the way down. But it's a very narrow, thin country. What else do I remember? I think there's yeah, some of the climate. There's some dry areas, some desert areas. The desert areas and the foresty areas sort of are kind of like crisscrossed with the Argentinian ones. There's some kind of vortex of wind that makes it cold on one side and warm on the other, or some weirdness I can't quite remember. What's their capital? Chile. Santiago is the capital of Chile, I believe. I can't tell you anything else. I think there's a few native Indian people living there quite a lot. We'll see. This is quite informative, these videos. That's why I quite like watching them. So let's just crack
Hey
on.
everybody, so if you're feeling kind of Chile, make sure that...
Is that an earthquake?
Shoot, what was that?
Oh, what the heck?
Dude, are you serious?
Is that a real earthquake?
Everything's okay.
Dude, I can't believe...
Yeah, no.
Whoa. Wonder what that was on the Richter scale. If somebody here was from Chile, they could probably tell us.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Hey everybody, I'm your host.
So I'm guessing there was faking an earthquake. Is that because Chile's got lots of earthquakes, and so you're used to earthquakes, and you can identify what the Richter scale is when every time you get an earthquake? I'm glad I don't live anywhere that's got earthquakes. That's all I can say. Or volcanoes, or any particular. We're so lucky in the UK. That's why it's called Great Britain, because we don't have any poisonous animals. We don't have any blinking earthquakes. We have a few gales, but no massive tornadoes or cyclones or hurricanes. We got it easy here.
I'm your host, Barbie. Welcome to Chile, the country where people really know how to shake things up. But first, let's dissect the flag.
Okay, let's check out that flag.
The flag of Chile, otherwise known as the Estrella Solitaria, or the
Lone
Lone
Star.
Star, is made up of two unequal bands of white and red, with a blue square in the upper left hoist side, with a single 5-point star in the middle of it. The star commonly represents the guidance towards progress and honor. The blue box represents the sky and ocean. The white band represents the snow-covered Andes and the mountains. And the red stands for...
Blood.
Blood of those who fought for the country. And that's about it. Just make sure you don't confuse this flag with the flag of Texas, and you're good to go.
He literally mumbled there, so you couldn't hear what he was saying. But I think he was saying the blood spilt for the country or something like that. I'm not too sure. That seems to be the theme with the blood of a flag. Apparently, I suppose every country has its struggles in its early days, and so blood is spilt. So the white is the snow, represents the snow. The blue represents the sea, and the star was towards progress and honor. Sounds like a noble kind of ideal.
Moving on.
Actually,
Okay, this is where
let's go back a little bit. I didn't quite. What was that other flag you were showing? What was he saying there?
the white band represents the snow-covered Andes and the mountains, and the red stands for blood of those who fought for the country.
Blood of our
That's about it.
fathers.
Just make sure you don't confuse this flag with the flag of Texas, and you're good to go.
Ah, yeah, they are very close.
Okay, this is where things get really fun because there are virtually no.
Because of course Texas is the Lone Star state. That's why they got the one star. But the blue and the white being the same as well. Wonder what the white and the blue stand for in no, was it white and red? Yeah, what? No, there was blue as well, wasn't there? So I wonder if when I get around to doing the states of America, I'll probably find out what the flag means.
No countries that have the same types of parameters as Chile. Chile is located on the southwestern coast of the South American continent, bordered by Argentina, Peru, and Bolivia. At around 4,300 kilometers or 2,700 miles, Chile is the world's longest country by territory length north to south, and is also one of the narrowest land countries, the average width being about 177 kilometers or 110 miles.
It's a weird
the broadest
shape.
point by Antofagasta being only 356 kilometers, and the narrowest by Yapel at a measly 90 kilometers in width. The country is divided into 15 regions. Each region is assigned a name with a Roman numeral north to south. The only
Okay.
exception is the Santiago Metropolitan Region as the capital, which has its own designation under RM, or Región Metropolitana. The numeral system used to be easy. It was just up and down 1 through 13 until in 2006 two more regions were added. Los Rios in the south at number 14, and Arica and Parinacota at number 15. So you have number 15 at the top and number 14 in between 9 and 10. Why Chile didn't just number all the regions in order again? I have no idea. Shut up! That's why! The capital is Santiago, located roughly in the upper central area in the country. It's a bustling city with a history that goes back into the 16th century, blending a mix of neoclassical architecture alongside glass skyscrapers and high-rises like the Gran Torre Santiago.
That's some rather nice scenery there, isn't it? You got the architecture look pretty neat, and you got the mountains there in the background as well. That's very awesome.
Tower at 64 stories, and it is also the tallest building in all of South America.
Yeah.
Chile will also tell you that their country is a tri-continental country because they have islands and territories that span across 3 continents. South America, Oceania, and Antarctica, even though the Antarctic Treaty kind of bans anyone from claiming ownership over Antarctica. But hey, Chile does have one of only 2 civilian settlements on Antarctica, via Las Estrellas, located on King George Island right off the Antarctic Peninsula. This place hosts about 150 people, mostly military and scientist personnel with their families. The population fluctuates during the winter season when they have fewer residents. Nonetheless, this town has a school for kids, a library, a small hospital, and a post office which offers a rare Antarctic postage stamp. The other territories they have...
That's some interesting stuff. So they've got a few bits of islands, like including Antarctica. They have some land, a little station in Antarctica there. That's got to be a weird place to grow up as a kid, isn't it? Bloody hell! I suppose you can have snowball. I mean, you must get tired of snowball fights after like the millionth day in a row of throwing snowballs. You must get tired really quickly. I can imagine you get used to the cold as well to a certain extent. So when you go anywhere else that's not like freezing, you're probably sweating your blinking arse off. But yeah, I don't think I want to live in Antarctica. No, imagine there's some horrible gales out there in the winter, some bloody storms. I bet after the year you can't even go outside. I wouldn't be surprised.
They have include the Juan Fernandez Archipelago Islands, which includes Robinson Crusoe Island. Yes, people, the island that book was named after, which that guy who wrote it was marooned on. Look, guys, I'm just going to confess, I don't really read a lot of classic literature. I just make it look like I do on this show so that it gives off the illusion that I'm a refined, classy person. Me teach geography. The Desventuradas, or the Unfortunate Islands, are also owned by Chile, although they don't really have much going on for them, except there's a small airstrip and naval base on San Felix Island. Then we have Islas Salas y Gomez and Easter Island, located in the far-off remote Pacific, classified...
Oh, right. So Chile own Easter Island today, or they come under Chile today, under Chilean rule, I suppose. Yeah, a lot of those like little islands I'd never even heard of, but it's just so many, like, it just goes to show you how many little tiny bits of land there are that you just don't know about, you know? Yeah. I wonder how many different island groups there are. And how many different islands... There's loads of islands that no one's ever... But there can't be any islands that no one's ever been on. I wouldn't have thought so. I know there's some that are so remote that people have barely ever landed there. There's no settlements there or anything like that. But, yeah. I wonder if there's any islands that haven't been discovered yet. When you think how big the Pacific is, there's probably a few small islands there that they haven't even found yet.
Classified as the southeasternmost point of Polynesia, so technically it does belong to Oceania, even though these islands are actually closer to mainland Chile than they are to the rest of Polynesia. Salas y Gomez is uninhabited, boring, and doesn't really have anything. Easter Island is the moneymaker. Easter Island is like the Hawaii of Chile, world famous for being one of the strangest places on Earth, with petroglyphs and ancient unexplained moai statues created by the ancient Rapa Nui peoples that adorn the entire island. The country overall has about 2,000 islands, most of which are located in the South Patagonia region, where things get pretty crazy. The islands in the south create an immense clustered labyrinth of cold green rocky fjords and channels, very similar to the ones in the west coast of Canada and Alaska that are hard to access. In fact, if you want to drive south to the rest of Chile, the furthest you can go is on the 7 highway until it cuts off at Villa O'Higgins. That's right, people, O'Higgins. There are Irish people that live here. Where the Patagonia ice fields begin, and here you either have to go by boat or fly to any of the other south towns in Chile, like Punta Arenas or Puerto Williams. Remember from the Argentina video? The further south you go...
So the further down, it's just islands. It's like loads of islands real close to each other, with ice probably in between them, rather than actually being solid land. So you can only drive down so far, and then if you want to get any further, you've got to fly to these little spots. Interesting.
Oh, in Chile, the crazier things seem to get. Let's explain why in... One thing you have to understand is that Chile is located right on one of the most intense active fault lines in the entire world, the Ring of Fire. This means Chile as a whole is disputably the earthquake capital of the world.
Yeah, well, good luck to them. Good luck to them having the earthquake capital of the world. That's not really a title you want to aspire to, is it? That's a title you'd rather somewhere else had. You know what I mean? I suppose being the second worst isn't any better. Well, not much better anyway. But yeah, I'm sorry, but you don't want to be the earthquake capital of the world. It's just not a title that's necessary. Yeah, it's kind of title that makes you want to move to another country, like the least volcanically and earthquake actively country in the world. I wonder if there is such a place. I wonder if it's the UK because we don't have any earthquakes here. At least I don't think so. Anyway. Yeah, I keep saying that. I think every time I see a video and people talk about earthquakes, I'm always saying, "Oh, we don't have any earthquakes." Ha ha ha! I'm probably going to die in an earthquake sometime. There's suddenly be an earthquake just to shut me up. But I hope that doesn't happen. Fingers crossed. But anyway, let's carry on with this.
World. In fact, the largest earthquake on record happened in Valdivia in 1960 and registered a 9.5 on the Richter scale. The funny thing is, these people here really don't even care. They're so used to it and have adapted in almost every possible way to deal with it for centuries. Very few people are casualties of earthquakes, and most people can typically even tell how strong an earthquake was on the Richter scale just by feeling it. If it's over a 7.0, they usually just stand up out of their chairs and wait it out. Now add on top of that the country has about 500 active volcanoes. Of course, as we already discussed in the Argentina video, the northern part of Chile lies on the Atacama Desert, the driest area on Earth. The areas in the
Oh my gosh, the driest area on Earth. They've got volcanoes coming out your blinking arse. You've got the most earthquakes ever. I'm not even coming there on holiday. Not that I was planning on going on any holidays anyway. Not that I can afford to go on any holidays. But this just sounds like yes, it's some beautiful stuff there. That town looks beautiful. The mountains in the distance look beautiful. But I don't think I'd bother. But it's kind of crazy how so used to earthquakes they are that they just stand. I mean, they just stand up and go, well, okay. Well, you let me know when you're finished. I can get back to my work. Bloody hell! But you can see the whole freaking everything was shaking. I mean, I guess they must have by now, like with modern architecture, they must have made practically earthquake safe buildings. I mean, that was it a 64-story, the tallest skyscraper in the whole of South America. Surely they wouldn't have built that unless it was really, really well protected against any kind of earth tremors, because they'd be crazy to build that if they haven't. So I'm guessing they've got like all the necessary earthquake protecting architecture in place to make that building safe. Otherwise, they wouldn't have built it, would they? Can you imagine being at the top of that on the 64th floor when you have a 9.8 blinking earthquake? Gee, screw that for a game of chess. That's. I'm sure if it was that high an earthquake, they probably would crash down. How to what level of earthquake Richter scale is that building safe? And even the other buildings, I mean, even the smaller buildings. And that the footage we saw of the biggest earthquake, you could see the buildings had collapsed. But maybe that was older architecture. Maybe they didn't have the technology then to make it quite as sturdy and resistant as it is nowadays. But yeah, let's hope so. I mean, there's still places getting earthquakes. A lot of people dying from earthquakes still. I mean, all over the world. Like Turkey had a massive earthquake recently, didn't they? Well, have they not? They obviously haven't got like real safe, architecture, earthquake resistant architecture. I think none of us are safe. If the Earth decides it wants to, if the Earth decides it wants to have a little bit of a shiver, then you got nothing much you can do about it but hold on and hope for the best. Anyway, this is a desert I don't want to go to. It looks very dry and boring. It looks like Tatooine from Star Wars.
in the north, although dry, however, contains some of the richest deposits of copper. In fact, 6 of the top 10 largest copper mines in the world are found in Chile alone, making Chile the top copper producer. By the way, the upcoming movie, The 33, starring Antonio Banderas, is based on the true story of the survival and rescue of the Chilean miners that were trapped under 2,000 feet of rock in a copper mine back in 2010. I mean, I'll watch it, but you have to admit, it's kind of weird because the whole movie is mostly spoken in English with Spanish accents. So when it shows in Chile, they'll have to use subtitles for a movie about their own people from their own country. Hollywood! The cool thing, though, is it does actually rain a few times in the Atacama every decade. And when it does, you get this incredibly rare, beautiful glimpse of the entire desert.
A few times every decade? Wow, that's not much, is it? But look, this is how sturdy and hardy nature is. These plants, or these whatever they're living under the desert. They're living in the desert with no water, just literally dormant until the rain comes, and then it's a beautiful purple plumage. That's what birds have. But petals, I'm guessing, or is it grass? I can't quite see what it is.
Transformed into a flowering meadow. This phenomenon
Flowers.
only happens here and in other places like the Gobi Desert in Saudi Arabia. The further south you go, the greener it gets. Most of the agricultural lands are found in the central regions with the most formidable climates for grain and produce production. The east is completely bordered by the Andes Mountains, with Argentina on the other side, all the way to the bottom of the continent where you can find the Patagonia glaciers and ice fields, making it the coldest place in all of Chile. Or should I say the chilliest part in Chile. This geographical isolation has not only given Chile the hedge of solitude, but also has allowed the population to develop a very distinct and unique culture and attitude that sets them apart from all the rest of the Latin American countries. And here's how. Okay, I'm just going to be straight up. Chile is kind of like the California of the South American continent. First of all, the country has just over 18 million people, about 40% of whom live in the capital, Santiago alone. Ethnicity-wise, estimates speculate that a little over 50% of the country is white, about 40% are mixed mestizo, and the rest are Amerindian. Of course, Spanish is the official language. However, the dialect is quite different from the rest of Latin America. Countries, Chileans tend to speak faster, and sometimes they cut off their S's and D's from words, and also they have a whole list of specific Chilean vernacular that you can't find anywhere else. For example, instead of saying cosa, you might hear wea. Instead of hearing fiesta, you might hear the word carrete. And
Okay.
depending on the context, the word weon could either mean buddy or something along the lines of stupid little punk. ¿Cómo estás, weón?
Fine.
Versus, ¿eres weón o qué? See, the thing is, unlike Argentina, Uruguay, and Brazil, Chile never really got an influx of various European nationalities migrating to their country. Back in the Industrial Revolution times, the only way to get to Chile would be to either cross the Drake Passage, which would take a lot longer than stopping on the east coast of the continent, or you would have to cross the Andes Mountains, which was even more difficult. This means that Chile has a higher concentration of whites that identify with Spain as their source of heritage. Speaking of which, the South Central and South areas have a long history of indigenous Mapuche heritage. The Mapuches make up a majority of Chile's indigenous population, and for the longest time, we're actually able to fight off the Spanish invaders. Most of Chile's mestizos are descended from the Mapuches, and today they make up a strong population over 1.5 million. Then you
Cool.
have Easter Island, which has a majority of Polynesians that speak their own language, the Rapa Nui, and in the North Deserts you can still find decent populations of Aymara and Quichuas, mostly from Peru and Bolivia, whom by the way believe the land belongs to them. Bolivia still wants that ocean. As one of South
Oh.
America's most stable and prosperous nations,
That's right. I believe we had a war with Chile, didn't they? Chile won, and now Bolivia haven't got any coastline. So the South American countries have had lots of fights and wars with each other over the years. It's all about territory, isn't it? It's always territory. I mean, the Spanish came in and knocked most of the Indians out from their land, and those guys there they were talking about managed to fight off the Spaniards for a long time. And like so Chile's kind of interesting. It doesn't have so many other European nationalities in there, and it makes sense because it was harder to get to. You had to either sail a lot longer, or you had to get over the Andes. So the other people just stopped in, like Argentina, for example, which has a very big influx of Europeans. Europeans there, like the Welsh, the Italians are very prominent in Argentina, and they were saying there's Irish in Chile. Was that was it? O'Higgins. There was a road called O'Higgins or something called Rohiggins. That was kind of like an interesting one. But yeah. So far, interesting stuff. It's surprising, like the different countries in South America. They've all got their different. You think there'd be more similarities, but there are some similarities. But there's also like stuff like the makeup of the peoples. For example, it does seem to like vary. Like Bolivia was a lot more Amerindians, I believe. Anyway, Brazil's got more black population, and yeah, because I think there was something about the Argentinians. There was some racist policies in history or something like that, and so a lot of the black people who had been there moved out, I believe. So, but anyway, let's carry on.
Chile has the highest degree of economic freedom and GDP per capita in the Latin world. Chile's IT and programming sectors have boomed in recent years, with high-tech corporations and startups popping up all over, especially in Santiago, making Chile sort of like the Silicon Valley of South America.
Okay.
Plus, surfing is huge out here. See, it really is like the California of South America.
It's true.
Culture-wise,
It's true. You've got surfing. You've got Silicon Valley. That's both California, isn't it? It sounds like doing quite well for themselves, Chile, despite all the earthquakes. They're managing to get a fairly prosperous nation by the sounds of it. Sounds like they're booming.
will tell you that they are kind of like the outcasts of the Latino countries, and for a number of reasons. The country is known for its illustrative poetry that eventually got them 2 Nobel Prize winners.
Okay.
Cuisine varies from region to region, but one thing Chileans are not short of is seafood. With a coastline that long, you're probably going to find some gills on your plate. With a unique platter of Pacific fish, Chile likes to claim that they have the best ceviche in the world. Strong words to say to your neighbors, Chile. Now let's see what those neighbors think about you.
Ceviche. I've never heard of ceviche. Was that a fish salad dish? You seem to be showing some various chopped up, and he was talking about there being gills on the plate. So yeah, I'm not a massive fish eater, to be honest. I think the British palate has gone away from fish. We have fish and chips. It's just like your basic, like we don't have an awful lot of variety. Like in the common sort of person doesn't have a great deal of fish anymore. Not like we used to. I don't think so. Anyway, I think fish is more expensive than it used to be. But most people in the UK are like more just easy eating. You know, you don't even see a fishmonger's shop that often. But yeah, we have it now and again. But not like probably like our ancestors probably did, and not like a lot of the Europeans do as well, especially like on the coast and that. But anyway, let's just carry on.
Now here's the thing. Historically, Chile has had a lot of drama both domestically and abroad. Chile has had more coups d'etats than any other country in the world at around 40. Everything didn't settle down until...
Oh yeah, is it... Who was the freaking Chilean... It wasn't Noriega. Was Noriega Chile? They've had some dictators, haven't they? I'm sure there was one that our Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, was... had dealings with there was some kind of controversy here for her like voicing support for him or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the story was now. I can't remember the guy. If it was, I can't. Let's just listen.
Until about the 1970s. On top of that, they've also had wars and scuffles with every single one of their immediate neighbors. Even though Peru and Bolivia do business with Chile out of courtesy, the reminders of the Pacific War still linger on, and overall, they both kind of roll their eyes at Chile. Argentina is the biggest rival of Chile, and even though they have some of the closest economic ties, Chile helped the British in the Falkland War, so Argentina kind of sees them as a little bit of a traitor. And again, don't even get started on the soccer matches. Because of this, Chile has kind of had to branch out and reassess their diplomatic intent abroad. Outside of Latin America, Chile rubs shoulders with the US, Australia, New Zealand, and oddly enough, the UK as well. Back in the Australian gold rush, Chile was a major supplier of wheat and food. Trade began and fully developed within years. The US's relations have grown exponentially since the 80s, and as of 2014, Chile became the only Latin American country to have a visa waiver program entering into the US.
Okay.
Chile and the UK have a strange historical relationship. The British originally wanted to take over Chile and even teamed up with the Mapuches for a while in an attempt to keep the Spanish out. In a sense,
That sounds like the British. That's very much British, that is. We wanted to take over the whole bloody world at one point, didn't we? They thought we had ideas above our station. A tiny little country thinking it could have control over so many areas. But yeah, the Spanish as well, because we was always, I think there's probably more to do with the fact that we want not Spain to have more power. Because there's so many rivalries in Europe in the history. Like we hated the French, we hated the Spanish. We fought with the wars with both of them many times. The only country I think in Europe we didn't fight with often was Portugal. I think it's the longest treaty between Portugal and England. I don't know if it's any treaty ever, but I think we've been friends with Portugal and we've always sided with each other in wars since like the 1300s or so. I don't remember how long ago it was now. It's a bloody long treaty of never having arguments with them, which is cool. Wish there was more countries in the world we never had arguments with. But yeah, let's carry on listening to this. So that was a bit weird because like you'd think that the fact we didn't support the Spanish side, the fact that we're kind of friendly now, and they helped us out during the Falklands Malvinas conflict is interesting. But I suppose, the countries always fighting with each other in that area. But let's carry on.
The UK has always kept an eye on Chile, even though they never got to colonize it. And to this day, the ripples of that show through their diplomatic engagements. In terms of their best friends, however, Chile might probably say Colombia and Mexico. The countries all share the Pacific Alliance trade bloc. Colombians love moving into Chile and add a delightful warm Caribbean vibe to the otherwise colder atmosphere of the country. In conclusion, Chile may be the skinny, isolated country with lots of stuff going on, but when things get overwhelming, they just shake it off. Stay tuned. Oh boy. China is coming up next.
Okay. Interesting. interesting little videos. They put a little humorous touch in there as well, which sometimes makes you roll your eyes, but sometimes it's like, yeah, it's all right. It's just a bit of fun, isn't it? But lots of interesting information thrown in there as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to take any of it in. Right, massive earthquakes, lots of volcanoes. It's half the country's white. 10% is Amerindians. 40% was 40% black. Were they? Must have been. What's the other choices? I don't know. It must be. I've forgotten already. Anyway, what else is there? Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. The largest, tallest building in what do you call it, in South America. Um, Easter Island is part, well, considered to be Chilean. I had no idea. I would never have guessed that. Like if someone said to you, what country has dictatorship, not dictator, by has leadership. I don't know what the quite word would be over the Easter Islands. I don't think Chile would have been up there in my guess as to which country it was. Anyway, right. So up next on that channel, I'll leave the link to this channel if you want to go and sub them up yourself. I'll leave the link down below so you can go sub them up. But for this channel, next I'll be reacting to this channel's Geography Now's channel's Colombia video. That's the next country I'll be checking out. I'm gonna go all through South America before I move on to maybe Central America next, North America. We shall see. But anyway, cheers for watching this. Hopefully you've learnt something, and maybe I've been interesting talking to you. But maybe you've just been like, why is this guy talking? Why don't I just go and check out that channel on my own instead of listening to this twit? But anyway, cheers for watching. Give us a sub if you like what you see, and give your reaction to my reaction down below. If you're from Chile, let me know some interesting facts that maybe weren't mentioned in this, and don't forget to give me the old thumbs up, because everyone loves one of those.